So, this afternoon, I was generally remembering Chariji, the previous guide of heartfulness, and I remember one of the conversations which happened when I was in his room. So what happens is, let me tell you this: wherever there are two people, there are differences. Wherever there are two people, there are politics. There are misunderstandings. A lot of things happen when there are two people. So imagine an organization like this, how much ever spiritual, there are personal differences, whether you like it or not. But why I'm sharing this is it's a great lesson I learned in those conversations, right? So those days, Chariji used to travel a lot. I mean, he's always on the road. Either he's traveling to Europe, US, or in India by road. In India by road, traveling is the most worst thing you can imagine, right? The roads are bumpy and a lot of traffic, pollution, you don't get clean water, things like that, right? Anyway, so people used to invite him for their centers. Okay, why don't you kind of come and visit us? So one guy who is in charge of that center came to Chariji and he said, please visit our center and we really need your presence over there. Basically, what he is indicating is there are a lot of personal differences between the people and he wants Chariji to come and correct them. So in Hindi he said, make your heart as stone and bring yourself, because you have to be very strict over there. That's the advice he's giving it to Chariji. And Chariji's immediate response was, when you are stone-hearted, the heart can break easily. I mean, hearing that, I was I was in awe, in a shock. Never thought about it like that. We want always hold that identity, hold that personality, so that nobody can cross us. We want to kind of keep people at the distance, right? That's a general learnings we get through life. But here, the spiritual guide is talking completely opposite. Then I remembered Lao Tzu's example. I used to read Lao Tzu at that time. He said, you should be like a water, soft. There is strength in softness. Softness is the greater strength, according to him. So he gives this example: when you cut the water with your knife, the knife passes through, but the water doesn't split. Right? That was a simile which was given for a soft hotness. And Chariji is talking something same. So we become so soft, anything which is coming our way, it passes through, it doesn't break our heart. When we become hard, it's easy to break our heart. In any interaction, whether the interaction with our own children, spouses, friends, colleagues, neighbors, even some co-traveler on a flight, there is always this hold up, that strength we want to add in our life, and we become hard and things could easily break. Our ego can get hurt very easily. But when we become soft, so that is what this spiritual practice is about. We become so soft, anything will pass through and we remain intact. That's the whole idea of becoming soft and soft. So softness is strength. When we are resisting something, when we become hard, then things go hard on us. Our reactions are very high. So even like observe this, he said we should be like a sponge. The next statement he added, when there is a pressure, the sponge compresses, and remove the pressure, it regains its shape. Same thing here. If there is a reaction we have to show, we must show that reaction. We must react to the world. We must react to the situations. But if I remain in that state of reaction, in that disturbance, then there is a problem. So becoming soft doesn't mean I accept everything which is thrown at me. That's not becoming soft means. Becoming soft means I react to the necessary amount and then I regain my position. Trust me, when I react, I know it myself. When I react, my anger knows no boundaries. Though I might not express it on the face to people, but I know from inside I explode like a volcano. But I know that it only stays with me for a very short while. Depending on the situation, maybe I react to it for a day and then after that it's forgotten completely from my mind. So I have observed this change in me. So it is not that I lost my reaction to situations, but at the same time I regain myself very quickly in a day. Sometimes in few minutes. But I can regain myself. So that is why becoming the soft inside, removing all that unnecessary hardness we are gathering, is very, very essential for a spiritual practitioner especially. Because the more subtle states the conditions which are created inside us, and very small things can disturb us completely, can shatter us completely. So, if we don't know how to handle those situations, so that is why the whole practice, if you see, the practice of artfulness is a full package. So cleaning helps us to get rid of these reactions or the grossness accumulated due to situations in our life. So right before you joined, I asked Susan, how is the day going? And she said, nothing exciting. And then I said, for things to be exciting, either things have to go wrong really and things have to go really right. I should win a lottery to get it more excitement, right? So we're always, in a state where there is not really any excitement required in our life, as long as I have the minimum requirements met. Interestingly, last week I was at a friend's place with a group of friends actually, and then he asked me, what are the 3 things required in human's life? What are the most 3 important things in life? So I told him the required health, required wealth, and required inclination for spirituality. Everything in balance, nothing extra. Required health as much as I can pull on with my life. And longer life is essential, especially in a spiritual practice. Because it takes long to assimilate all that growth. Growth in the sense of not really a growth as a spiritual growth, but growth in that wisdom. More and more experiences will add to that wisdom. And then minimum wealth to sustain without struggling much in our life. So whatever that minimum one has to decide. For some people it's $1 million is minimum. For some people $100 million are minimum. So according to my lifestyle I can decide what is minimum requirement. And then spiritual inclination. Once we have that inclination and interest, the practice becomes easy. It is not a discipline, it is not an imposed, spiritual practice is not an imposed discipline. But as we practice, the cleaning removes all that grossness, hardness we are accumulating. And prayer actually becomes very soft from inside. The element of prayer, if you practice it regularly, you will see the difference. I kind of said this in our last discussion as well. Just practice it for a 1 week, this prayer, and see how much difference it brings in your life. Only you can tell. It completely aligns all the stars around you if you do the prayer regularly for a week. All situations will be aligned. So it makes us soft from inside. And meditation is to absorb the divine essence. That absorption, more and more absorption happen only when I am soft from inside. When I am hard, like any emotion, anything I am trying to repulse, reject, we even reject the spiritual absorbency, the grace which is descending on us, the transmission which is descending on us. We repulse it because of our inner hardness. So think about it. It's practice, especially prayer, is a very, very essential element of the practice. If I do regularly my prayer, and I have seen it myself, automatically all other things become regular. My cleaning becomes regular, my meditation becomes regular. Almost it's like when I get up, if I go into sleep with a prayer, when I get up, the first thing I think of is meditation. Nothing else comes to the mind. Because it softens my entire system throughout the sleep. And not only that, prayer removes all our mental projections. So what about mental projections, right? I think all this I've covered in various discussions on this call. So the suffering happens because of our projections, mental projections. We are always living in the past. And based on the past, we are projecting our future. And this is happening at the conscious level. And all those projections, we know it at the mental level as suffering. So what's happening with these projections is, consciousness is almost the power of God, right? It is manifesting whatever we think, whatever we make a decision consciously, internally, and it manifests in our life. So whatever we project into the future, mostly negative things, it manifests. And we wonder why these things are only happening around me. So prayer has a very unique benefit, I would say, that it nullifies, even though we have all these projections, just by connecting to this inner essence through the prayer, it nullifies all these mental projections, which is very difficult to remove otherwise. Just by the act of prayer, I am removing all these projections. That means the future manifestation happens my present situation. In another sense, I come to the present. I only live in the present by doing prayer regularly. Because the suffering of my mental projections of the future, my suffering anticipation of my future disappears. You can imagine how much calmness it adds to our life. So that's why, to me, prayer is the most important aspect of this practice. And then meditation is to assimilate it, to absorb. And again, meditation is not to gain something. Meditation is to wait for things to unfold. This Sunday I was giving this example. If there is a painting which is dusted, you undust the painting. As you undust, the painting is revealed. It unfolds. So as we meditate, this inner essence unfolds, which is already there. As we undust the painting, there is no new painting getting created behind the scenes. So we meditate on something which we already have. That is the divine essence within. If this divine is omnipresent, omniscient, everywhere, has to be within me. All my prayers are answered through me only. That inner essence, inner God. When I say me, we are referring to that inner God. So that's why make this prayer as a regular element in your practice and see it for yourself. So when we become soft, everything passes through and there is no resistance. Let it pass through, and then as soon as it passes through, we regain our essence. Right? So, okay, that's all I have to say today. And I see Naresh, Supraja and Gajapati joined. Thank you all for joining. Think we can get into meditation. Alright, so please start meditation.